morality. At the heart of the debate was the question whether the playwright Pierre Corneille's Le Cid had unacceptably transgressed the rules of theater, particularly that of bienséance mentioned earlier, meaning conforming one's work to the attitude and the behaviors and the morality of the public in question, and whether this play instigated moral decay in its viewers through its depiction of a woman in love with her father's killer. For those of you who haven't read Le Cid or seen the movie, and I do recommend, there was a Charlton Heston and Sophia Loren version quite a few years back now. There is a young couple, Rodrigue and Chimène, who are in love and they plan to marry. Their fathers, however, get into an argument, and Rodrigue is compelled to avenge the honor of his father by challenging Chimène's father to a fight. And he knows he will win, but at the same time, he knows by winning he will lose the affection of his beloved. However, despite Chimène's horror and sadness, she is unable to stop loving Rodrigue, and the play ends in their engagement. This caused a massive uproar in the public. Letters and pamphlets flew around arguing the morality of the play, until finally the Académie Française stepped in at the request of Richelieu. The Académie Française wrote a long dissertation on the merits of the play, but ultimately decided that it was defective on the point that was by all accounts the most appreciated by the audience members: Chimène's surprising and enduring love for Rodrigue even after she learns of her father's death. Chimène's inability to overcome her desire for Rodrigue even after the murder of her father was considered by the Académie Française to be a moral aberration that rendered the play useless to the spectators, since the event did nothing more than stir up the passions without instructing them toward virtue. Bienséance here, then, trumped verisimilitude, or the requirement to be true to life. For, went on the Academy, even if this story had been historically accurate, meaning even if these star-crossed romance was taken from the history books, the story would still need to be recast to fit the mold of appropriate literature produced not only for the amusement, but the moral improvement of its audience. In such cases, then, vraisemblance, or true seeming, would be better than truth itself, because it would be in greater conformity to reason. You know the phrase people sometimes use, "You can't make this stuff up," when something really bizarre occurs? Well, in early modern France, you literally could not make that stuff up. The wild, the strange, the whole marrying your father's killer, these were not welcome on stage or on the page. It was too risky from the point of view of the Académie and the government. Thus, fabrication trumped fidelity when the latter risked disrupting the passions without simultaneously shepherding them in the direction of virtue. The uneasiness seated in the moral fabric of society by an unpunished immoral act necessitated the intervention of the Académie Française, which firmly came down on the side of respect for bienséance. Moral faults thus denoted aesthetic flaw. But what would have been a proper ending to Corneille's play? One that would be raisonnable, or in conformity with reason. Reason in this case connoted honor, which in the 17th century meant the respect for and perpetuation of social hierarchies and the particular activities that distinguish them. The Académie Française claimed that in order for Corneille's play to be raisonnable, reasonable, Chimène could have continued to love Rodrigue. Indeed, she should have continued to love him and even to heighten the price she put on her honor, but that her obedience as a daughter must have ultimately prevailed over her role as a lover. As a quick aside, this is Corneille's most famous play, and the most famous play from the 17th century. And we might see in it here the beginnings of French melodrama. For despite the reprimands of the Académie Française, love and passion continue to grow in importance on the French stage, and especially in romance novels. Our own Abbé Dubos lamented this. He considered the scenes of passionate romance just a passing phase in French taste, and that the French would be mocked for it in generations to come. He definitely picked the wrong horse here, but it is interesting to reflect on what art would be like without romantic love as its most prevailing theme. It seems impossible, right? Or is that just our taste?